This is Denver. It's a cheapo action camera, whatever, Gerbo. And this is an 11-year-old GoPro. It's a GoPro Hero 3, which is released in 2012. And can modern cheapo like technology beat like a previously expensive item from over a decade ago? Just to intersect a little bit, the Denver was bought for 38 euros new, but normally retails for 50 euros. The GoPro was bought used for 45 euros, and the prices can vary greatly. That's a very good question, and the question we're going to be answering today. So, I already have some footage, but before we get the actual camera footage, I want to consider some of the physical factors. So, here's the water case. It's a very poorly built, like, it works. I have already tested with water. Here's the clip. But it's very poorly built quality-wise. Like, you can tell this, like, this was supposed to be attached to this, but it just came off immediately. I mean, again, it still works. I can like push it in and force it in with this. Consider the situation. Like, I can do this, but it's not a good quality case. Though it does fit the camera just fine. So, that's a positive side of this. And the GoPro camera case, that's waterproof, is much better. Like, the mechanism here is like attached to the camera. It's actually like feels decent. It doesn't like didn't break off immediately, and like there's some cracks on the like front thing here, but it doesn't affect waterproofing. Again, video here. The GoPro's auto white balance seems to have some issues with my bathroom lighting. So yeah, and also this is this like attachment mechanism, but either way, that's what we're dealing with here. And the cameras themselves are built a bit differently, so actually the Denver is lighter than the GoPro, even though it's bigger. Like the GoPro is like very noticeably heavier than the Denver is. So you can tell it has more like quality aspects to it. So you know it has just a much better feel. The plastic feels to have better quality, where the Denver feels really cheap. The GoPro feels like cheap, but like okay. It's a lot heavier, a lot more weighty. The buttons feel a bit better, and so on and so forth. But there's some features that are different. Like on the Denver, you have a shutter button that says OK on top and mode on top, and like arrow buttons on the side that allow you to like navigate the menus. And then there's a battery door in the bottom that you can open and get the battery out from. And then you can on the side have like the slot, like all the connectors and the SD card slot. On the GoPro, you only have two buttons, so you only have the top button for like shutter and selecting things, and then the power button for turning it on, and then also like changing between like modes and options and so on. So you don't have like arrow keys, so you have to like only use one key, which is a bit more annoying, but it works still. You have on the side, you have this, so you actually have a cover for the like a door, and you have nothing pretty much on this side except for a Wi-Fi button. These both support Wi-Fi actually. This one is a GoPro app, though I don't have the details, password details to actually use it. This one uses some sketchy Denver app that I wouldn't want to use. On the back, this one has a screen that's really bad in quality, but it's there. And this one just has a battery door, so the battery door is in the back and not the bottom, and there's no screen. So that's one drawback for the GoPro. And the attachment slot for like the accessories, like the battery pack thing. The Denver has like this like nice lens design. The GoPro is just very standard GoPro, like old GoPro lens mechanism. And it does have a screen on the front for like adjusting like your settings and stuff. So yeah, that's the main physical difference. Battery wise, they both have 1050 milliamp hours. But one thing I can tell you is I tested both their battery lives, and even though the GoPro is like a very old model and hasn't been replaced as far as I know. It's been unused for like a few years. It still lasted me like an hour and 15, hour and 20 minutes. The Denver lasted 1 hour, but there is a difference in resolution, where the Denver was 1080p 60 FPS and the GoPro was 960p 50 FPS. Also, the GoPro only supports up to 1080p and 25 FPS. With if you want 50 FPS, you have to go down to either 960p, which is a taller aspect ratio, or a wide 720p, in which case also supports 50 FPS. Let's set the Denver only supports Denver supports more. It has 4K 30 FPS and 1080p 60 FPS, and 720p 120 FPS. But that doesn't say anything for the actual quality of the image. So just like hang on and you'll see the footage and understand where that all comes in. So yeah, now we'll go on the footage and you'll see what the both cameras look like. So here's the footage. So we're here at City Square, and we're going to walk down this way, where it's not City Square but the lake. Yeah, I mean, I'm also shooting bright at sunset, so it's going to be kind of screwed in terms of like colors and all that. It will make for a very interesting comparison, actually, how these cameras handle the difference in the overexposure from the sun. There's the most pointless parking hole ever, and here's like a museum that has been under renovation for like years, and I don't know when it's going to be done. And then there's the football fields like in front of that, so now it's like dead. But it does sometimes go a lot higher than this. I don't know why it's so low right now. And here's a little bit of the lake, like it's separated in this like smaller area, and I think this is where I'll end this recording. I'll take some photos. So you can tell immediately the GoPro is significantly better, even if it's lower resolution, it's so much better. Also, the microphone quality on the GoPro is, I think, quite a bit better. So that it's not quieter though. Like I have to, like when editing, I had to really bump it up, as opposed to the Denver, which is quite loud already. But the GoPro is really quiet, so I have to like amp it up on the editing. Just worth mentioning that. But it also is better. It's like in every way. There's more detail. It's better at cutting out background noise. Probably because there's two microphones and they're pretty decent quality as opposed to Denver, which is like, it's still surprisingly good for like a cheap, Chinese-made piece of crap. But it's not as good as the actual GoPro is. There's also more fisheye effect, I think. Just the overall quality is way more noise. It just looks way worse. So yeah. What can I conclude? It's that the GoPro is way better in basically every way, but there are some advantages to Denver, like the Denver has a screen, which the GoPro does not. Actually, let me turn on the screen and show you how it looks. It's very bad quality, but it's there. It actually does help a lot, like especially if I want to take like a photo. Both photos here, and it helps me to see it beforehand. Though then again, where would I want to take a photo? But it is useful to have a screen when I'm like taking video as well. So it is worth considering. Another thing is the white balance is really fucked on the Denver. Like it only has like 5 modes, and none of them are really good. So it's like not a very good white balancing mechanism, but yeah. GoPro is just a better camera, I guess. But it does have some quality of life improvements here, like the display. Also, this one does support a much faster file transfer speed. Like the GoPro is about 8 megabytes second, the computer, and it uses a goddamn mini USB, whereas the Denver is a micro USB and it goes at about 16 megabytes second, so it's a decent bit faster. Like it's noticeably faster than the corporate transferring the files. But it also creates a higher file size with the videos, so that kind of compensates for that. Like it's noticeably bigger with the files, even though they're worse quality.